Hey there, it's Mackenzie, your host of Winning. We're looking for sponsors for the podcast. If you have a business that you would like to promote to thousands of people, send us an email at podcastwinning@gmail.com or send us a message on social media. I cannot wait to hear from you. Now on to the show.
Winning is your guide to making it in business. Join our award-winning host and entrepreneur, Mackenzie Kilshaw, and special guests in casual conversations that will educate and inspire you on your business journey. Winning will help you learn the hard lessons the easy way with guidance from celebrated entrepreneurs and business leaders. It's fun. It's informative. It's winning.
Hello, welcome to Winning. I am your host, Mackenzie Kilshaw. And my guest today is Chelsea Stebner. Hi, Chelsea.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on. I'm really excited to have you on because I know this is going to be a really good conversation that we're going to have. So Chelsea, I've known Chelsea for quite a few years, actually. A friend of mine was at, her dad was one of the owners of the business that Chelsea is a managing partner of Parr Auto Body in Saskatoon. And Chelsea has a passion for people, and cars are the medium that she uses to make a difference. So I know for Chelsea, she is really involved with the business community. She's really involved with philanthropy. But Chelsea, I want you to just give the listeners an idea of who you are and what you do.
Oh, man. So, yeah, my name is Chelsea Stebner, and I never grew up aspiring to own a collision repair shop, that's for sure. And I have no technical skills to fix your car whatsoever. You want to keep me far away from anything other than washing and vacuuming and being kind of like the girl Friday in the back shop if somebody needs a hand lifting parts and doing stuff like that. So, my passion really is people, and the medium is cars. And I discovered that by accident, which everybody laughs about because, haha, what a funny pun, right? But that is truth. I had taken a business diploma course and needed a work placement, and I stopped in at a place called Frontier Collision Center. And the manager at the time, Tom Bissonette, said to me, "Hey, I need somebody. The lady at the front desk just quit. So instead of a work placement, why don't you I'm hiring you." And boom, suddenly I was in collision repair. And so basically I worked my way with Tom, who is a fantastic mentor. He's not for everyone, and he's pushy and assertive and aggressive and gets the job done, but he makes you get really uncomfortable and get out there and learn, basically. So I had this great opportunity and just ran with it. And once I kind of got collision repair under my skin, I never looked back, simply because of the people. So that's kind of how collision repair happened in my life.
That's so funny because a lot of people that are entrepreneurs and small business owners talk about how they accidentally got into something. And I was the same. I was like, I'm going to apply for some grants so that if I decide to start this business, like maybe I'll get some grants. I applied for some grants and they're like, you have 30 days to send your business plan. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm doing this. And so I kind of feel like you do, where it wasn't that you purposefully set out on this journey, but here you are, right? And 20 some years later, is it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 20 some years later, here I still am. So I literally in the shop worked my way up from receptionist all the way through to office manager, and then shareholder, and then majority business owner. So I'm the CEO and managing partner at Parr now.
That's amazing. And how do you think it's helped you to start from kind of the entry level and work your way up? I mean, that's got to have given you a lot of lessons, but let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. I think coming into a different business, and I was at, so this is my third shop I've been at. So I started at Frontier Collision, which is a heavy duty collision repair shop. And then I actually left the trade for a little bit of time, tried out government work, which was so not for me. Went back to collision repair to a shop that I had a good year of hard lessons about the business that I never wanted to work in. It really taught me about values and morals and things like that. So I wouldn't trade that tough year for anything. And then Tom and I joined up again when he bought Parr. So really just like boots on the ground, seeing customers every day, seeing our team, doing lots of learning through our paint company suppliers, just really seeing all the aspects and having Tom, again, if I go back to him as a mentor, he's always been very open with dollars and cents and what's going on in the business. And he always called me his work wife. So his dear wife, Barb, who's at home, I always call her the wind beneath his wings. But I think I took the brunt of a lot of his general business owner frustration because I was safe and he trusted me. So I saw lots of that stuff, that side of the business right away. And for some crazy reason, I still decided to become a business owner. It's been really interesting, the whole journey and what I continue to learn every day along the way.
Yeah, it never stops, does it? Like you think you know what's going on, and then something happens. Before we started recording here, we were just chatting a little bit, and we were talking about COVID. And I know, like I said to Chelsea, COVID's over, but it's not over. I mean, maybe our health regulations and things like that are over, but I know that a lot of industries are really facing a lot of challenges right now, and you are one of those industries. So what is happening now? What are the ramifications of COVID for you, and how are you guys dealing with that?
Oh boy, where do I start? So number one, I mean, you hear on the news the supply chain issues and the automotive industry, shortages of chips and all that stuff. So what happened at the beginning of COVID when basically our world shut down is OEM, so our original vehicle manufacturers, whoever makes your Mercedes or your Buick or whatever, they shut down their factories. Or the people that made parts and pieces for them shut down their factories. And now they're absolutely so incredibly behind in building parts and pieces that we're just not getting what we need to safely and properly repair vehicles. And then to top it off, as our industry is one of the most rapidly changing industries in the world, you can imagine from year to year, vehicle makes and models, they change, they look different, they update things. And lots of our manufacturers also build car parts, so they're called one-time use parts. So you can't fix that part anymore. You must replace it in order to do a proper repair. So back in the old days when we just like banged out the fender and threw some body filler on it and painted it, we were okay. But now certain vehicles, you can't do that. You have to replace the parts. And then of course, adding on to the supply chain issue, which also really, when it comes down to it, is a people issue, right? Because if there aren't people at work, there's nobody to build parts. And then you throw COVID in and the lack of regulations around it. And let's not even get into that stuff because that's a whole nother ball of wax. Yes, exactly. But now our challenges are, we have a young team at the shop. And so our young team, lots of them have young families. And I'm talking like 3 and 4 kids. And so somebody gets the flu, and young kids, these ones that are like these COVID babies who haven't been out of the house. And these young families are just being pummeled by the flu. Like literally, I've had team away from September till now. Every single day, we have at least 2 people off, either with an illness or because their kids are ill. And so managing the supply chain issues and then the people issues and then the ability to find other people to come to work and that want to show up to work today are kicking us in the butt. And I think at the very beginning you said, and what are you doing
I
about it?
totally agree. And we know it's been so hard, and it's really difficult on your own mental health and your staff's mental health. And also it's hard for customers, because for you to tell someone you're not going to have a car for some time, because that's kind of a necessary item, right? So how are you dealing with your own and your staff's mental health? And then how are you dealing with customers and still finding kindness and making sure that your customers are really doing okay? How is that going?
For sure. It is a challenge every day, for sure. I think like when COVID first happened, I had a friend of mine come in and do a mental health workshop, and it was actually on COVID fatigue. And it was just a lunchtime, lunch and learn, super casual on the shop floor, because of course we were all still masked up at the time.
Yeah.
So we started there. And then I talk lots with our team about self-care. So about making sure they know what tools and resources are available through our shop and through the total compensation plan. And then talking to them about who they can reach out to. So an EAP plan, the gal that came in and did our first mental wellness workshop there. And things like that. So on top of that, then we talk about like, what are the other self-care things we can do? Like going to the gym, going for the whole body health, right? The chiro, the massage, the physio. Are you sleeping well, drinking lots of water, right? So we do talk about some of that stuff. So that's always part of our team's, that we bring forward to them. So we do have a young team, right? So stuff that you and I think about in our, dare I say, almost middle age.
No, definitely not.
No, don't say it, right? Isn't something that a 20-year-old guy thinks about when he's just like earning his money for his rent and his next case of beer, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, probably not.
Yeah. So I've earned the nickname Shop Mom for a good reason.
Yeah.
So that's all part of it. But that mental wellness piece, I also am practicing and making sure my team knows that I'm practicing some of that too. So if it's super, if I'm having a conversation with a staff member about maybe going for counseling or to therapy, I am very open and transparent about what I'm doing too, which I do go for therapy. I meditate every day. I do yoga every day. I go for a walk. Because I know that I need to take care of me, because nobody else is going to do it.
That's right. And I always say, if there's no you, there's no business. Right.
Well, and we're a team. Like we need to support one another, but we also sometimes need to push one another and give them that little like, hey, you can do this. And I grant you the gift of time to go see a counselor or go for that massage or whatever it is. The other cool thing that we started doing right around COVID is I have a black lab named Bella. She's an old girl now. And Bella started coming to the shop with me. And she's become a little bit Instagram famous. And we have customers that come in and see her now. And so she is a breath of fresh air for our staff. Like if somebody's having a hard day, they literally walk into my office and sit down on the floor and pet Bella. Whether or not they chat with me or not. But then sometimes that's a connection piece to start conversation too.
Yeah.
And if that's something, sorry.
No, it's just so important to have that, right? And to have that transparency and that open communication. And if they know that you're feeling something similar to them, that helps people get through, right? It's not just you, it's everybody. That's great.
Yeah. And we're very aware. Like, I think like when we meet, we meet once a day as a production crew. And we will talk about like, yeah, it's been a tough day, or, you know what, we know we got lots of stuff coming down the pipe and we know it feels overwhelming, but it's like, how do you eat that elephant? It's one bite at a time. And I get overwhelmed too. And I share that. Like, I think that vulnerability is important for my team to see.
Yeah, exactly. And you're so active in the business community. And I know that you're one of the people that's very open about these, it's not all unicorns and butterflies. There are hard times. And when you hear that another person is going through the same thing that you are, it does make it easier, right? And maybe you give that advice, like, you know what, I meditate every day. Have you ever tried that? Or whatever it is, because if we don't keep ourselves healthy and happy and in a good mindset, it's really hard to run a really high performing business. And so it starts with you and it goes the whole way through, not just your staff, but the business community and the community itself. I mean, you are huge in the community support, philanthropy. Like, you do a lot of giving back. You were my title sponsor when I did Swinging with the Stars. And my dad just organized an event that gave Christmas decorations to some of the new families that have come from the Ukraine. And you guys took a huge load of things down there. Like, you're still making time for the community. And that's really important.
It is important. And when I talk about my passion is people, if you walk into Parr Auto Body, or if you go on our website or Instagram or social media, you'll see our values on there. And that is one of the things that we walk the talk. So as a team member comes on, we are constantly talking about values and giving them examples of how and why we use them every day in every decision we make. And one of those values, yes, is community. That opportunity to say, like, holy smokes, we're living in this community. We're raising families. Our kids are playing sports. How do we make sure that we are impacting community in a positive way? And that's something, again, that goes back to Tom and Barb that they instilled in me. And I think for us, for Parr in particular, you can go on the radio, you can hear 5 or 10 other body shops. My kids know the theme songs to lots of them on the radio, but you won't hear Parr Auto Body on the radio. You're not going to see us on TV. I would rather spend potential advertising dollars impacting community in different ways. That just, it feels more, it just makes such a difference. And I think eventually that stuff comes back tenfold. Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, it feels good and it does good. And the other thing that we really talk about is we often, when we choose where we're putting dollars or time, we're often do stuff where we're not going to get, what am I trying to say? We're not looking for like the hard ROI, like that good ROI coming back to us. Yeah. We're donating to the Friendship Inn and Sherbrooke Community Center and Ronald McDonald House, like stuff that people don't even live here or they don't have vehicles, but it's something that just makes a difference.
Well, I think the thing is, when you have that at the core of your company, that you're going to do well for the community as a whole, right? Making people better makes everyone better, right? So helping someone at the Friendship Inn, they might not have a car, but maybe they get a car and they bring it to you. Or maybe their aunt has a car and brings it to you. And you don't do it for that business, but that business is like a runoff almost, right? A huge thank you to our sponsor, Just For You Day Spa and Wellness. Just For You is Canada's premier day spa with 5 locations in Alberta and Saskatchewan. The award-winning luxury spa features Leah Reese cosmetics and iconic Betty jewelry that you can also purchase online. Visit www.justforyoudayspa.com to book your service or to purchase a gift card.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's the foundation of society, right? Like, if we can all just, going back to what you and I were chatting about before we started recording about kindness, like how do we just shift perspective on what's going on in this world, and just, it doesn't have to be a lot, but what can we do to be more kind and more impactful in our communities?
Yeah, that's a great point. And you know what? I just want to touch a little bit on customers and kindness? Because I have a feeling right now with COVID that you have people that are pretty upset that they don't have a car, or and I mean, that's out of your hands, right? You can't help it that you're waiting on a part to be made. But I'm sure you're dealing with difficult customers, and you also want to show them kindness. So how that's kind of a loaded question, but first of all, let's talk about, how are you dealing with upset customers? Because that's a really important thing in business, because it happens. And I mean, this is out of your control. Sometimes it's in your control and sometimes not, but how are you dealing with that, and how are you showing them kindness?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if we go back to the very beginning, number one, as you and I were chatting about before, is that coming into an auto body shop, you're either ripped off at yourself because you caused an accident, or you're ripped off at your spouse who backed into the garage door, or you're mad at the deer, or you know what I mean? Like, it's nothing. You don't get to go into the hair salon and get your hair done and be like, oh gosh, that was fantastic, right? You're like, damn it, I have to spend $700 deductible and I don't have a car.
Yeah.
So it's that
double whammy
purchase.
Yeah, exactly.
So number one, us as our team having that level of empathy in something that we do every day. So that's a huge, huge foundation when we're teaching and training our team. And then in turn, our customer education piece. So we are very, very clear in everything we do. We've got like, when will my car be ready? How does it go through the shop? What does this mean? Because there is a bit of a gap between our insurance company and the customers right now. And so we can't change what's going on with the insurance company, but we have to adapt and fill the gap in that education piece. So our customer education, that's where it starts. Then you throw in the sicknesses and the supply chain issues and all that jazz. And yeah, let's face it, we're humans. We make mistakes too. And we're not for everybody. And we're never going to make everybody happy. So really, number one, transparency, right? Like, for example, I have a young fellow who backed a customer car into another customer car. Well, shoot. First of all, I'm picking up that phone and having that tough conversation. And my first thing I say is, hey, Joe, something crappy happened today. We were just bringing your car around front and somebody backed into your vehicle and we smashed your bumper. We have to replace your bumper. But here's what I know. Accidents happen. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in business. So that's on transparency. And I mean, we have to read our customer there too, right?
Yeah, you could tell it to me and I'd laugh, but some people might swear at you.
Some people, and I've been sworn at, absolutely. So, but I think it's still really important, like, tell it like it is. And this is something I tell my team, like, tell me like it is, not what you think I want to hear, because I can't make good decisions on what you think I want to hear. So I have to tell that customer, hey, this is what happened. This is how we're going to take care of you. In the same token, the customer that's angry because their door is somewhere in a container in the middle of the ocean, I literally can't do anything about that. And it sucks. So it is just literally taking the time to update that customer, keep them in the loop, let them know we haven't forgotten about them. We have a pretty good process on updating customers as their vehicle moves through the different departments in the shop. We like using email because it's documented information. We ask for feedback at the end of every repair. We want to know where we fell short or where we did a fantastic job, because customers are why we're in business with everything going on around us, right? Like, when we talk about taking care of people, it's the customer, it's our team, it's our vendors, it's our insurance company. Like, we all have to figure out how to do it together.
Yeah. And you know what? I love all of these points that you just made. And I'm going to sum this up and you tell me if I'm right. But it starts with training and empathy and processes. right? You have this all in place. So if something happens, you're not like, oh my God, what do we do? You know what you're going to do because you
Yeah.
have a plan,
We
right?
have a plan. Yeah. The other thing we do is I've learned, and I've learned the hard way, not to react right away. So I use like 24, 24, 24. So 24 seconds, 24 minutes, 24 hours, depending on the situation, of course.
Yeah.
Like, don't just react, just stop and think about it for a minute. And then, you know what? Here's the other thing that I tell my team. If we have somebody that's really, really grumpy, we just kill them with kindness.
Yeah.
We just
It works.
genuinely like throw the kindness at them, be extra nice, and carry on. So that's all you can do.
That's right. You can't carry it with you, right? Because if you are in any business that deals with the public, I'll say, or clients, customers, whatever it is, you're going to have those people and nothing will make them happy, right? We all have had them. If you haven't, you're gonna, but
Yes, absolutely.
You can't take it personal either, right? Someone's going to yell at you on the phone or in your face, unfortunately, and you have to take it for what it is and carry on. Because if you hold that, it's going to negatively affect a whole bunch of other things. Right?
Yes. And you know what the other thing with that is we have to remind each other with our team of people, like I will get held accountable if I go down a rabbit hole and whine and complain. I've got somebody this week who said to me, Chelsea, just stop and move along.
Yeah.
And I was kind of annoyed at the start. And then she did it out of love. She didn't do it because she was mad at me, but because she knew that if I kept going down the rabbit hole, I'd be living in that negativity. And so she checked me.
Yeah.
So that's important too, to have that accountability and that trust in your team that you can say to somebody, hey, just slow your roll a little bit and take a breath.
Yeah, it's so true because it takes as much energy to be the negative Nelly as it does to be the positive Patty, right? Like you're nowhere farther ahead. You're just feeling worse. So it's like learn your lesson or deal with what you need to deal with and then continue on the path to where you need to go. Because that looking back doesn't get you forward. It doesn't.
Yes. Yeah. And I think too, like there's certain situations that I have trusted friends in the industry that we, might have a text chain or a phone call and we'll call and say, help me go through this in my head, or I'm really frustrated and I just need to get it out. So make sure you have a safe space to do that too, because I think that's important, right? It's like talking about other businesses going through the same stuff as I am today in my business. Lots of industries are doing that. So it's okay to acknowledge that it's hard or it's a frustrating thing going on. But then how do we just say, okay, now let's get on with it?
Yeah, exactly. And that network, I like that you brought that up too, because that network of people, whether it's the same industry as you or different industry, right? But similar, if you both have clients or whatever it is, it's having those people that you can, I don't want to say complain to because that sounds negative, but voice your thoughts to, get advice from, right? And that empathy back being like, hey, I'm going through something really similar. I feel the same way. Because knowing that helps you, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it makes you feel more normal, right?
Yeah.
Like that you're not necessarily the only one feeling that way. Or if it's like a valid issue that needs to be brought forward. And that's one of the things in our industry that, we can say, okay, these 5 shops are all having this issue. Now we want to bring that forward and solve this problem because it's not a one-off, right? Because if it's a one, you always have to look at yourself first. Are we the problem or is there other things going on?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's oftentimes external things, but sometimes it's one small modification within your organization that can literally magically fix something, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And going back to really, you nailed it with the process. Like every time we have a good process in place and we stick to process, the better off we are. When we veer off the path or forget a step, that's when we run into the snag.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it is planning, preparation, process, whatever. I think that was my grade 3 teacher used to always say, it's planning, preparation, and practice, I think is what he said. But it's having it documented. It's having everyone train the same. I mean, everyone in your organization knows what they should do in the problem because you've trained them all the same,
Yes.
right? So if everyone's had that same training and knows the process to go through step by step, you're going to have a way better outcome than if you're just trying to figure out things on the go.
Exactly. Exactly. So then I'm just going to throw like a wrench into the mix. We're an industry that's training on the go. So in apprenticeship, right, you're learning. So lots of our teams coming in right green on the ground. So you are teaching as well as trying to produce work, which creates challenges in its own right too.
Oh, for sure. But that just goes right back to how important it is to have everything in a process or in a program, because you learn what works and you have successes and you're going to have failures and you learn that doesn't work, right? And then you continue on. So you take those fails, as I'll call them, and you learn from it, and then you go on. And if that happens again, you already have the lesson, right? Oh, that happened before. We know what to do.
Yeah. Or that's happened 3 times now. Maybe we need to look at something and shift.
Exactly. Change something, modify something. People are afraid of change, right? And change isn't bad. Like we're all taught, and I don't know if this is our society or if it's in your head or what it is, but we all are afraid of change, right? Change is bad. Oh gosh, I got to do something different, new, whatever. But change can often lead to the greatest successes, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think, changes. It's super uncomfortable, but it opens other doors as we, walk the path, so to speak.
Yeah.
So,
and if you don't ever try something, how will you ever know? Right?
Yes.
Like you don't say, okay, this is obviously a problem area because we've had 5 instances, let's say that this happened with. Now we're going to try it this way. Yeah, you have to maybe retrain, or you have to, change something, add something. It might cost you money. But after that, if things are good, then that was good. Right?
Exactly.
And you need to do those things. Like I for myself, when COVID hit, I had my physical clothing store. I had an online store before, but it was fine, but I didn't have every item on there. I didn't have all the, tap to shop and all that stuff. Guess what? COVID hit. Well, I real quick figured that out because people are at home. They can't come to my store. If they need to buy something, they need it to be easy.
Yes,
and
you have to adapt.
Exactly. It was a lot of work and it cost me money to do it. But guess what? After that fact, it made me money because it was done. Right.
Yeah.
And had it not been COVID, I might have never made that switch because it was, it's going to take me so much time and retrain everybody. And it's going to cost me this much to do it. I looked at all the negative things and not the positive things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy to say, it's easy to say, it's too much work to do it. It's hard to do the things you need to do.
That's right. Yeah. But those can lead to the best things, right?
Yes.
It can lead to the things that you're like, holy crap, we should have done this 5 years ago. Or we should, right? Or it's a new revenue stream, or it's a new whatever it is, right? Brings you more clients, whatever it happens to be, it's worth it. So
yes.
Yeah, for sure. I have a question for you about, you're in the auto body industry and you're a woman and not middle-aged, let's just say that, back up. But how have you dealt with that? Because I know there's women in the industry, but it is definitely a male-dominated industry. So how has that been for you? Like, were you nervous at first, or how did Tell me about that.
Yeah. You know, honestly, and I've totally had this question before. I have never felt discriminated against or like I didn't have a place at the table. And I think that's one of the reasons that I fell in love with the people in this industry is because quite frankly, they're like, we need people, like, come on in. And that's my story. I know it's not every woman's story in this industry because I know I've heard other stories where they've had a harder time. I would guess coming in as a technician would be more challenging. Like if you look at the old, what our idea was of an auto body shop in the 1980s, and there might be some inappropriate posters in the back paint room and stuff up on the wall, and it's an old boys club. We never had a shop like that. Our shop, and of course, Tom and Barb and what wonderful people they are. But I'm proud to say today we have a journey person technician who's a female running our paint shop right now. We have two other apprentice technicians who are female. And then our front staff is female, including our full parts department. So I think I'm not saying I'm like pro female. I think that we are a fabulous mix. And I think it takes everyone to bring that softness and that the technical analytical skills, however it works, right? All the personalities to bring it together. But industry wise, women are very, very detail oriented. So when we look at like refinish technicians and the eye for detail and paint, like that is a fantastic place to bring women into the mix. And I would love to see more female technicians in our trade. I think that we need to be braver in our industry about stepping up and stepping into those leadership roles. There's not a lot of, I've sat on a national board and it was definitely challenging to have my voice heard around a table of loud, assertive men. So being brave to get out there and do some of that stuff.
Yeah, that's great. Do you think it's changing? Like, I feel like now that we're in, well, when this airs 2023, I guess it will be. But I feel like even when I was in high school, it's like, do you want to be a teacher, a nurse, or a hairdresser? Right? Like, but I feel like now kids are younger. It's like you can do whatever you want to do.
Yes.
Right? It's not so much gender specific. So I hope that that's changing.
I hope that changes too. I think one of the things, like if we go back and I could go off on a whole roll here with getting young people into our industry, but into trades in general, I think that maybe like our parents and even our generation, like we're still university, and not saying that that's not great and it's not a good path. But I think the trades in general have this weird bad taste in people's mouths, when in fact, those careers are financially rewarding. They often give like really great work-life balance. And so not just our trade, but I think that somehow or another, we need to reframe perspective on trades and encourage kids to look outside the box of university on that too.
I think you're so like right on the money there. My other job is that I work for a tech company in the hair industry, which is very highly populated with females. But it is a lot of and it's changing now, but a lot of it was you're just a hairstylist or you're just a plumber. There's no just about it. I mean, you're as knowledgeable and as skilled in that field as someone that's just an accountant, right? It's not like it's a worse off job. And I think that is starting to now change because you're right. People see it's very financially rewarding and it's important in our society. We need these people, right? We need people in all aspects of jobs. So it's nothing to look down upon for sure.
Exactly. I know I struggled when I started more my role that I'm doing today with HR and being out there in the public and getting involved in community and stuff like that. I struggled internally with the fact that I don't have university education, and I had to do some hard work within myself to just be okay with it. Like, holy man, I have life skill. Yes, I might not have a degree, but I have everyday on the job, boots on the ground, 20 years experience. But it took me internally because society says that you should have this. So yeah, being okay with stepping into the role. I sit on the NSBA's board of directors now, and holy cow, that was a big deal for me to say yes to that opportunity. But man, am I ever glad I did, because I'm learning so much, and I hope that I'm making impact around that boardroom table too. Just bringing different perspective.
Yeah. And the thing is, you learn things with things like that. I've been on many different boards, and you do it first to be like, once again, giving back to the community, and I'm going to do this to better something, and then you also realize, whoa, did I ever learn a lot that I can take back into my own life, my own business, give advice to someone else, right? You're learning things from those boards that you didn't even ever know you would know, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Giving back is so important. I think it's just one of those things, being on a board, you're a volunteer, right? It's time and energy and effort and everything else, but you get back so much more even than what you give. And that's really important.
Absolutely. The getting back is amazing, but that opportunity to just say, like, I'm showing up, I'm here, what can I do? Right? Like, let's roll our sleeves up and figure out what we can do.
Exactly. I love it. Okay, Chelsea, a couple of little rapid fire questions here for you. Is there a most important lesson you can share for entrepreneurs, small business owners, people that want to get into the industry? Is there something that you're like, that you need to know this?
Okay. Yeah, totally. I can share this. So I have business partners. I have 3 business partners who are all journey person technicians, and me. And we went in really blind, not knowing what we were doing. We signed a shareholders agreement. We did all that stuff. But we didn't do the hard work of really getting to know each other and being super transparent up front and knowing what the heck our roles were. So I can say without a doubt that post, again, here comes a stupid COVID word, post-COVID, or at this stage in our partnership journey, our relationship is better than ever. But damn, it's been a tough, long path. So if you're going down a path with partners, you need to hash some of those things out right at the start. Figure out what your role, your responsibility is, figure out what the next person's is, understand that shareholders agreement, do that hard work up front, instead of what we did was, it was like, oh yeah, business as usual, which is good when business is good. But then when the going gets tough, stress levels higher, our fuses are shorter. Yeah, that wasn't super rapid fire, but that's a big lesson that I've had.
No, that's true. Because the thing is, now you're dealing with 4 opinions, 4 beliefs, it's just mountains, right? It grows real quick.
Yeah.
And like you say, when things are good, everything's good. No one ever worries about stuff when things are good. But when things are bad or go south, then that's when problems come, and they come fast and hard. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. I love that advice. And is there anything you wish you would have known? Like, if you look back on yourself going into when you started 20 something years ago, would you give yourself a piece of advice?
Honestly, I'm totally switching gears, and this is it's so cliche, but my husband and I were married 8 years before we had kids. And then we had 2 beautiful little daughters who are now 2 beautiful, intelligent, feisty teenage girls. But I wish I would have been more present when they were younger, 100%. And it does sound cliche, but it's truth. Like, I wish I would have worried less about the dirty floor or the dishes being done. And yeah.
No, it's true. That stuff's all going to be there tomorrow, but your kids' kindergarten graduation isn't, or whatever it happens to be, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I know you think it sounds cliche, but it's true, right?
It
And it is
is.
true. And having that balance, especially when you're a mom and a wife and a business owner and you're on a board and you do things in the community, it's really hard to balance that stuff. We didn't even talk about work-life balance, which I don't actually think there is ever a balance. I think that we need to figure out new words. Oh, I'm like, some days work just has to come first, and some days work is going to come last, right? That's just the way it is, I think. But yeah, it is. I know you think it's cliche, but it's great advice because it's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your business will carry on, but your children's things or the family vacation that you never take because you don't want to leave work, those things will last you a lifetime, right? They'll stick with you. So yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Chelsea. Where can people find you? Social media? What's the best way to find you and to find Parr Auto Body?
Yeah, well, Parr Auto Body, you'll find us. We're pretty active on Instagram and on Facebook, and we love having new followers and interactive conversations with our customers and our Parr people. You can check out Bella, our ambassador, on our website as well. She's our Chief Morale Officer. So we love it when people check out who we are before they come to see us, because that's what we're all about, is that people connection. Or you can follow me on Instagram. You'll have to request because I'm private, but Chelsea_Stebner on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you. And I can tell you, I haven't been in an accident, I guess, for a long time because I haven't had to bring a car to you. But I know my dad's truck is there right now. I'm pretty sure my brother probably has at least one vehicle there. But Parr Auto Body does an amazing job. This is not a paid for advertisement, but I would definitely highly recommend them to take your car if you're in Saskatoon or area. So thank you, Chelsea. I appreciate it so much. And to everybody listening, thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks for listening to Winning. Be sure to subscribe to get all of our new episodes. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media and leave a rating and review wherever you listen to Winning. To catch all of the latest from us, you can follow Winning Podcast on Instagram at winning_podcast, Facebook at Winning Podcast, and on Twitter at Winning Pod. Winning was created and is produced by me, Mackenzie Kilshaw. Music created by Summer Furby. Editing by Seth Armstrong. Special thanks to Shauna Foster for voicing our opening. And of course, a huge thank you to this episode's guest. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.